Now listen to this and see how much of it has come true. This is from the Congressional Record Appendix. January the 10th, 1963. Current communist goals. Listen carefully. 1. U.S. acceptance of coexistence as the only alternative to atomic war. Now remember, there was no threat of atomic war. This whole thing about the Cold War was cooked up between Churchill, Stalin, and Roosevelt to bring about world government. 2. U.S. willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging in atomic war. Now listen, it doesn't say the USSR's willingness to capitulate. It says the United States' willingness to capitulate. And if you read Mikhail Gorbachev's Perestroika, you'll see who's really capitulating. And it wasn't the Soviet Union. If it was, what's Chechnya all about? 3. Develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. 4. Permit free trade between all nations, regardless of communist affiliation and regardless of whether or not the items could be used for war. 5. Extension of long-term loans to Russian and Soviet satellites. 6. Provide American aid to all nations regardless of communist domination. 7. Grant recognition of Red China, admission of Red China to the United Nations. 8. Set up East and West Germany as separate states in spite of Khrushchev's promise in 1955 to settle the German question by free elections under supervision of the UN. 9. Prolong the conference to ban atomic tests because the United States has agreed to suspend tests as long as negotiations are in progress. 10. Allow all Soviet satellite individual representation in the United Nations. 11. Promote the United Nations as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one-world government with its own independent armed forces. Some communist leaders believe the world can be taken over as easily by the United Nations as by Moscow. Sometimes these two centers compete with each other as they are now doing in the Congo. 12. Resist any attempt to outlaw the Communist Party. 13. Do away with all loyalty oaths. They did all of this, folks. 14. Continue giving Russia access to the United States Patent Office. 15. Capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. They did. They occupied the leadership positions in all agencies of the United States government. 16. Use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. 17. Get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. They have done that. Soften the curriculum. Get control of teachers' associations. Put the party line in textbooks. They have done all of it. 18. Gain control of all student newspapers. 19. Use student riots to foment public protest against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. 20. Infiltrate the press. They control the press. As you can see now, they're destroying. The last defenders of liberty in this country are under full-blown attack by who? By the press. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy-making positions. 21. Gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures. They have done that, and now they're trying to destroy those of us who speak out for liberty in places like shortwave. 22. Continue discrediting American culture by degrading all forms of artistic expression. An American communist cell was told to eliminate all good sculpture from parks and buildings, substitute shapeless, awkward, and meaningless forms. 23. Control art critics and directors of art museums. Our plan to promote ugliness, repulsive, meaningless art. 24. Eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. 25. Break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. They have done all of this. 26. present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. They have done it all. 27, infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. 28, eliminate prayer or any phase of religious expression in the schools on the ground that it violates the principle of separation of church and state, which does not appear in our Constitution, but appears in those exact words in the Constitution of the Soviet Union. 29, discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, out of step with modern needs, a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. The exact words of Ross Perot. 30, discredit the American founding fathers. Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. They have done it. 31, belittle all forms of American culture and discourage the teaching of American history on the ground that it was only a minor part of the big picture. Give more emphasis to Russian history since the communists took over. They have done it. 32, support any socialist movement to give centralized control over any part of the culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics, etc. 33, eliminate all laws or procedures which interfere with the operation of the communist apparatus. They did it. 34, eliminate the House Committee on Un-American Activities. They did it. 35, discredit and eventually dismantle the FBI. They discredited the FBI when they branded Hoover a homosexual. 36, infiltrate and gain control of more unions. 37, infiltrate and gain control of big business. 38, transfer some of the powers of arrest from the police to social agencies. They have done it. Treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders, which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. They have done it. Dominate the psychiatric profession and use mental health laws as a means of gaining coercive control over those who oppose communist goals. They have done it. 40, discredit the family as an institution, encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. 41, emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents, attribute prejudices, mental blocks, and retarding of children to suppressive influence of parents. They have done it. And they created inflation to put both parents to work so that the children could be reared in government-controlled daycare centers and schools. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition, that students and special interest groups should rise up and use united force to solve economic, political, or social problems. They did it all through the 60s and 70s. Overthrow all colonial governments before native populations are ready for self-government. Internationalize the Panama Canal. Repeal the Connolly Reservation so the United States cannot prevent the World Court from seizing jurisdiction over nations and individual states. They have done it all. Wake up.